Okay. We're just finishing the New Brunswick roster here. Okay, we're just getting into action here of this one between Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. And didn't take long for Nova Scotia to strike pay dirt with Remy Myers here along the corner sideline. Dan Hobbs along for the call. Here, this one is 5-0 lead, just early minutes here into this one. And for Redshaw, this is going to be a hard conversion here for her. As you see, just steps away from that sideline here. The distance and the hook. Definitely was going to be short, but it was off the mark, so we'll keep it a 5-0 game. It did take long there for Nova Scotia to strike, get some pay dirt, and get 5 points on the board as we've just passed 3 minutes gone. So this one once again is another 60-minute one, so 2 30-minute halves. Getting ready for a restart. Matt Malazzo will join me here just a couple seconds here for the call in this one. Last we checked, it was a temperature of 24 degrees and a humid index of 28, but it is definitely a cool evening. Supposed to be a 30% chance of showers, but no clouds in the sky, so no weather delays today. Heat wave came to an end yesterday, so obviously that has made it more comfortable here for the players. It's a perfect evening here for some Friday night rugby in Windsor. Brunswick looking to try to get some momentum going and strike quickly here to bounce back off of that one. Simpson, Kathleen Simpson. Steal by Nova Scotia. Back to the outside. Pass unsuccessful there for Myers. Nova New Brunswick once again pressing here Inside, Tiana Irvin. The lead for Nova Scotia didn't take long, as we're now tied at 5. Thanks to Tiana Irving's try. As we now watch the replay here, they've just towered over as they swung right over. It was actually Molly Dixon, my apologies. Molly Dixon with the score. Madeline Lauren Walsh here to try to kick the conversion for New Brunswick along that near side pole. Kick is short of the mark. So we'll stay at 5. With a restart coming up in just a couple of seconds. So team's not wasted any opportunities. Pretty much first drive down the field for Nova Scotia. They get the try. New Brunswick counter-attacks. 5-5, back to where we started with the tie. Just past the 6.5 minute mark. Once again, New Brunswick sort of down their own side of the pitch. Inside their 22. But just happy to try to slowly get something going offensively, try to get it out of their own zone. Getting near, maybe just across their 22. They're swung to the outside. Maybe not the greatest of passes, so they're actually going back the other way with it this time. Quick passes here by New Brunswick as they're trying to bring it back into the middle. Hannah O'Neill and now booted straight up. It's a high booming kick. And back, Mandy Wells fields it on the bounce and hands it to Redshaw. Redshaw loses it. And right there, right place, right time was Madeline Lauren Walsh for New Brunswick. But a penalty called and Nova Scotia taps and goes. Sophia Parker. Camo. Britton Camo taking a little bit of a pile with her. Nova Scotia looking to strike. And they do. They get the try 5. And make it 10-5. So back and forth we go as we take a look there at the tail end. And pats and high fives there at the tail end of that try for Team Nova Scotia. Now PEI was, New Brunswick was kicking it out of their own zone and it was fielded on a bounce. To Mandy Welsh, and then handed it to this girl, and she brought it down. So Redshaw has a chance to convert there. Outside. Kick is up and rewarded. A big kick and a huge couple of points, added points there. Thanks to the foot of Redshaw. As I said, Redshaw did the work and then seeing some of the action here. As we saw that Remy Myers got that first try for Nova Scotia to give them the lead and then the bounce back thanks to Molly Dixon. Actually, it was Tiana Irving, so Tiana Irving with the try and Nova Scotia coming back and getting it, so back and forth we go. Play back underway. So Matt, this could be like working out to be a chess match here, because Nova Scotia goes down and scores. New Brunswick retaliates. Then Nova Scotia goes down and scores. So we could be in for a back and forth tilt here. Great way to wrap up day number 2.
Yeah, I think lots of players here are excited that New Brunswick needed a few reinforcements, and they've picked up some Nova Scotia players that were either away on other commitments or sort of gone for the trial period. So I think there's some friendly rivalries taking place, and I hope it's a great game.
Oh, Scotia pushing the pile. New Brunswick gets the ball. Tackle there by Kate Childs.
It's Anna Dodge, I believe, was a great player from New Brunswick who's been away at school, and Bailey Andrews from New Brunswick mentioned his first game in a New Brunswick jersey in many years. 2018, I think she said. A great scrum by Nova Scotia, though, exerting lots of pressure, and I'm sure they'll feel like that'll be a strength of theirs for the game. Lovely kick by Gunner.
That was Sarah Gunn, of course, he's talking about. Sarah Gunn wearing 10 for Nova Scotia, so you hear once in a while some nicknames, so that's Sarah Gunn's name. So those that may not know, now know. Brenton Cabot with the throw in. The line out successful for Nova Scotia. They push the pile. Nice little drive Nova Scotia's with him, so they may not be going back and forth. Nova Scotia trying to get a little bit of a short here. Is Akpin the ball carrier? Is New Brunswick called for penalty? They'd rather go up pace with it, up tempo. Nova Scotia decides to settle it. And into the end zone and past the try line, and New Brunswick there are deep inside of their field. They'll bring it out and get some extra yardage here, making sure to at least get it off the try line to have some breathing room. Braylon Murant. And Nova Scotia now called for penalty, so back 10 and a tap and go possibility here for New Brunswick. Cadence Ashton. Kick caught there by Kinsey Chichetto. Kinsey Chichetto bringing it up. Brought down there by Irvin, my apologies. Ball on the turf. New Brunswick goes into touch here. So line out with Nova Scotia's Britton Cabot to throw it in. Up by 7 as we pass 14 minutes. Gone. The wind starts to pick up, so that made that line out a little bit more difficult. It especially just happened at the right time. The ball went up to the air. At the same time that happened, the wind started to blow, and so it took that opportunity to gather up the football for them. Took it off the skids for Nova Scotia as New Brunswick. Ashton to the outside. Here's Hannah Kennedy. First touch for her in this game for New Brunswick. A swing outside, Liv Corbett. So New Brunswick with a little bit of pressure, and Nova Scotia has the back 10. Penalty Nova Scotia. And into touch. So New Brunswick, they're pushing down the field. They've had to do a little bit of a stand, so as Nova Scotia had a little bit of pressure, but time of possession here looks pretty good for both teams so far. Or you pretty much have to be an even split in this one, but New Brunswick on this possession starting to go back with it. And Nova Scotia with the steal. Here's Brenton Camo. Brenton Camo, hands off. And a big open field tackle there by Mona Fry stops a potential try for Nova Scotia. Chichato. Hands off, Redshaw. Difficulties called for the knock-on.
Quite the break in support, and Brenton Camo and Sophie Parker are supporting each other in a break. That's two all-star caliber back row players from the recent history in the AUS, and to have them on the same team and making line breaks and supporting, it's fun to see. Even the back row, second row talent in the Celtics team is quite deep. Kate Childs and Brooke Reed and Quima and Kenzie and Sophie.
Down to field level. A big, high, booming kick, and didn't get much for yardage, but a lot of hang time.
It's hard to tell exactly from the shadows, but it looks like it, depending on where you are in the field, you may get a little bit of sun in your eyes as well, making that a little
That's
difficult.
for sure, because it's not in our broadcast location, but the shot right there, that sort of tells you that the sun is definitely right in the player's eyes. So it's something they have to battle with. Once again, downfield level, take you to sights and sounds of the championship. So what looked like to be you strike, I strike sort of count affair sort of settled down here, but Nova Scotia still up by 7, but New Brunswick was pressing. Nova Scotia shut the door. Nova Scotia was pressing. And now is pressing again. New Brunswick shut the door the first time. Can they the second? Renshaw on that far sideline. Redshaw getting close. And the finish the rest of the way. Redshaw putting on the miles, but another try for Team Nova Scotia.
Yeah, some great support from the Celtics. I mean, we saw Sophie Parker and Brenton Camo supporting each other, and there Ailish makes the break, and Kat Culligan's there for the support. Again, this Nova Scotia team effectively operates as a bit of at least Nova Scotian AUS All-Star team. We'll include PEI as well for Brenton, but the best of the best from the last 5, 6, 7 years always play at this senior provincial level, and it makes for quite a high standard.
So Redshaw again. Kick up. And good. So some big long distance kicks here for Eilish Redshaw. The best of long distance is getting some support here from the Nova Scotia fans. 19-5. You know, the people that get the tries are the ones that get the highlights, but I've been impressed with Redshaw so far. She's had some great runs, and some of the conversions she's had has not been easy, but she has made it look easy from distance, able to put it up and through. Been impressed with her play.
Ailish, one of the more consistent kickers in the province. Yeah, ability to, expected a reasonable percentage made outside the 15-meter line is not the most common thing.
Britton Cabot here with her team up by 14. As we reach the 21-minute mark, Akpin. No, my apologies. Parrish follows on that. Chichetto. There's Redshaw again. And Culligan's got something going. Culligan, 2 people to beat. One of them is Kennedy. Blows by Kennedy. And Kat Culligan puts it down for the try for Nova Scotia. We'll take a look. It's swung to the outside, and it's where Nova Scotia has been making their mark. As we watch it again, Chichetto, Redshaw, Culligan. Culligan turns on the Jets, blows by Pringle and Ashton, and then had Hannah Kennedy to beat, and it was a guessing game for Kennedy, and Culligan makes her pay. Renshaw again. Automatic almost. As you said, a very impressive kicker here.
Yeah, she came from Cape Breton with a soccer background, and sometimes it doesn't always work, but she's translated very well from a soccer background into goal kicking, and works hard at it, takes it seriously.
I know it's another sport, but there was the field goal kicker, his name is slipping my mind right now, from Dallas Cowboys, was actually a soccer player and then got into field goal kicking. Never played an ounce of football until he started doing place kicking for Dallas.
Wow. Yeah, it's the obvious crossover, and if you're technical or a free kick taker and you're used to the sort of run-ups and things like that, you can the crossovers are pretty easy.
Didn't go the necessary 10. And with the wind sort of blowing it back, maybe got it just barely 1 meter kick. So scrum to come near the midfield pitch. Down to field level, taken to the sights and sounds again. .24 minutes gone, and this one's 6 to go till halftime, and Nova Scotia with a 21-point lead. And a scrum to come. Yeah, we were saying about this team New Brunswick. We were talking about some of the players that they were picked up along the way for them to be competing here. So, also, when you think of that, that's not a lot of playing time together to come together for this. So, this must be a really tough task.
I'm sure it'll be a challenge, but I think they were excited to make those connections and meet some new people. And I think when you create teams like that, you just want to let everybody have their talent shine. Or you say, in situations like that, inter-squad games, and selection scrimmages, you want to pass the ball early. You want to let people have a chance to show their stuff. Maybe you'd play different than if you had played for 100 years and you're putting passes exactly on the button or anything like that.
Steal by Nova Scotia, and just one person to beat again. Hannah Kennedy, and Hannah Kennedy this time brought it down, but followed up. Believe they got it down.
Yep, that's Mandy Wells.
Mandy Wells, as you said, yeah.
And a good friend, so I can say things like she's been playing on this team for 100 years.
And get away with it.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody else. But no, Mandy's been a stalwart, and through thick and thin, one of the reasons this team has the strong culture and track record it does. So Aquima makes an incredible break. And, I mean, the consistent theme we've said a few times now, the support. Hannah does a great job to get stuck in the tackle, but the fitness and consistency of the Celtics to stay there and support has created a few tries for them.
And also got to really, say about the great footwork here by Akbet. Just sort of walking the tightrope, didn't go out. It was very small territory, just gathered it up, and it just seemed like after that she was off to the races, and Kennedy once again was having to see a Nova Scotia blue jersey come her way. And
Incredible.
this is an impressive show here by Redshaw. Really impressed.
Yeah. She's
good as advertised, as you would say. Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't disappoint. Yeah, gets it up in the air, gives it a good strong strike, and always gives it a chance. She knows the kind of draw and fade. Yeah, it's great heads up play by Aquima to see take a look at the space on both sides and saw a gap, so off she went.
Three and change to go to halftime. Line drive kick right into the heads of Britton Cabot. Past the 10-meter mark. A steal easily there by New Brunswick.
Not happy with the release.
And penalty New Brunswick. So just hand it off to Gunn. And kicks it into touch for a line out. We had a technically solid game here for Nova Scotia. Not really missing too much, but
yeah, everything's looking crisp and solid, and see what they bring come line out time. Oh, it's well gathered by Kate Childs.
Really good hands. Swing out. Wells. Back out. Gunn. Redshaw. Colligan. Does she have another one in her? Got two. Looking for three. Along that far sideline. Swing. Gunn. Parker. Good tackle there by Team New Brunswick. Come on. Pusher taking a couple of New Brunswick tacklers with her in the process. Swing back out. McPhee. Close. And nothing yet rewarded.
Yeah, New Brunswick not able to roll away in time, so they'll play under penalty advantage here for a moment.
And try rewarded here to Team Nova Scotia.
Janice Kugel, another stalwart. That's along with Manny, been helping to keep this team operating at a high standard with a high level of commitment for a very long time.
So take a look. It was, as you said, New Brunswick was in a little bit of penalty trouble. They just handed it off to Kugel, who puts it in the rest of the way, carries a couple of would-be tacklers there for New Brunswick in with her. And
yeah, I think you can see that with all the support lines and the continuity that it's a well-drilled team, and I think coaches Emma Delory and Joe Alfonso, two of the best and brightest in Nova Scotia, deserve a lot of the credit for the ship they're running here. I'll give you $1 if Ailish misses.
a safe.
Get your flags up, guys. I'm out $1 now.
Yeah. So the whistle stops play. To end this first half, a dominant performance here by Team Nova Scotia. So they're up by 33 at the half. So we will have more. We'll take a quick break, and we'll have the second half coming up. You're watching Maritime Athletic Profiles presentation of the 2025 U19 Senior Atlantic Rugby Championships live from Windsor, Nova Scotia. just seconds away from the restart, the second half here of the final game of day number 2, the senior women's competition side of things. Team Nova Scotia with a lead over New Brunswick. And opposite Matt Melanson and the rest of the Maritime Athletic Profiles crew. The kickoff underway, booting it was Madeline Lauren Walsh. Just gets to the Nova Scotia called for the penalty, so options here for Taylor Donato getting some chances here for the New Brunswick senior women's team as this is kicked into touch. New Brunswick trying to get back into this. They've got a big hill to climb here. This is Gabrielle Leverett into this match for Team New Brunswick. Pass right down at the ankles there for Taylor Donato. Very hard to handle, so she's called for the knock-on, so there'll be a scrum just 10 meters inside the halfway point of the pitch. The mid-stripe, as they say. It was looking to me that this match was going to be like a back and forth sort of tilt. Nova Scotia with the early strike, and then New Brunswick bounced back, and then Nova Scotia with the bounce back, and New Brunswick was making their way up the pitch. And then Nova Scotia snuffed it out and have been on a streak of points. Penalty Nova Scotia, and just like that, the tap. Oh, not happy with position. There's the tap and go. Here's Emily Dodge. Where's some tough yardage here. Back out. Akpin. Google has got a try here. This one just shy of this, inches shy. Advantage Nova Scotia. And they'll get it down for another try. 5. So practically almost everybody's getting a try here in this one for Team Nova Scotia. Take a look at it. This is Mandy Wells, so it's her second of the game. It fake there to McPhee, and New Brunswick sort of fell for the fake, and then it allowed for easy mileage there for Wells to put it in. Kick up. And good. 45-5. Definitely been a great game for her, especially some of her conversions not easily down Main Street. They've been definitely with outside the post and And distance. Rack it up to the point. Sheesh, is it? New Brunswick on the restart with maybe huffing and puffing and trying to blow that to the 10-meter mark. Still unsuccessful, so scrum coming up. I've seen a lot this, unable to get it past the 10-meter mark. Well, I said it yesterday at the championships when we had the rain coming down about the Nova Scotia weather. Wait a second, we've had like high humidity yesterday. There's a bit of some thunderstorms in the area. And we have this evening here. We said it's a beautiful chilly, but for once in a while wind picks up, it makes you think that it's a cool evening, so we see some hoodies on. So you go to extreme heat to almost extreme cool. As I said, welcome to Nova Scotia. Just past the 10-meter mark for Nova Scotia. A penalty here to New Brunswick. Back 10 penalty for them. And Gunn here. Kicks it up and out and into touch for the line out. Once again inching closer to that try line. And substitutions coming in. Lucy Caldwell is going to get some action in this one, number 20. And Mandy Wells will get her rest. There's a couple of tries, and she'll get a chance to be a spectator for the rest of this one. Line out for Nova Scotia. Went right to New Brunswick there. As the wind sort of kicked up at the last second. An easy pick-off, penalty. New Brunswick. Sophie Parker getting some support here. A swing out. Back to the outside. Nova Scotia trying to get some positioning as well. Some bodies freshly in. Caldwell with the nice little handle. And the tap down there for the coach of the Highlander, Kinsey Chichetto. She's on the board there of a try, and they strengthen their lead again. And decide to try to push it in a little bit further, try to make this a little bit easier here for Redshaw, but she has been solid, and a lot of it has been within distance. So this is, or from far distance, so this is about 23 meters out, just outside of the 22 here for Eilish Redshaw. And up and through again. Boy, if the Canadian Football League needs a place kicker, boy, Eilish Redshaw sure has that you can put on her resume here. Take a look at some of the action. And this is Redshaw with the handoff, so you see that she has been sort of getting them some distance and then getting to the outside. And gonna have Sam Menza check in here for Team Nova Scotia. She's gonna be wearing number 9 as Mandy Wells is checked out here for the night. As information's coming on the fly, 52-5. Down the field side here for some sights and sounds again. Forty unanswered points here. 40 straight points for Nova Scotia with a 52-5 lead. And they're growing again. Britton Cabot. And a good tackle there by Cadence Ashton. Paris up to the 22. Britton Cabot. Solid yardage, back out. Maggie McPhee. Culligan. A hand off. Chichetto loses it. Followed up by Lucy Caldwell. Oh, Scotia trying to push the pile, get it in, sort of almost like a version of the tush push per se. Oh, Scotia called for penalty. PEI called for penalty, or New Brunswick called for penalty. Britton Cabot, can she get it down? Still shy. McPhee, and Aquima Akpe will put it down for the try here for Nova Scotia as they continue right now with 45 unanswered points here. 57-5.
Sorry to keep leaving you in the lurch, Dan. Some tournament business to attend to. But
Well, as you said, it's with being a tournament organizer, you've had people coming to you, so it's A-okay. So as I said, it's hard to do and
what's
hard to run, but but basically you're a man, a jack of all trades, running here, there, and everywhere. So
Yeah, we're
you've
getting
earned
it
your
done.
pay this weekend.
Yeah, we're almost halfway there. What's been the story of the game so far?
Well, the story has been for like Nova Scotia. We saw, of course, the back and forth counters. They were going back and forth, but the big story has been the unanswered points that Nova Scotia's got 45 and counting now. Because Nova Scotia struck first, and then New Brunswick answered, and Nova Scotia came back, and since then it's just been like 40 straight unanswered points here in this one, and
Bit of a well-oiled
just seemed to
machine
be,
here, this
yep.
Celtics team.
yes, and you said about this New Brunswick team sort of like formed with some players from Nova Scotia as well here to attend the championships, but there's been no quit from New Brunswick here because
Yeah, I think in a situation like that, you want to keep growing through the weekend and take some positives and see how much you can develop and grow the program over the course of the weekend.
I think that's one of the advantages of without a scoreboard in the building. You're not as a player. You're not looking at that.
Yeah,
You're just worried about it, and you just play your own game. So in their mind, it's pretty much 0-0. Taylor Donato has been a substitution here in the second half, and she's had some touches and been impressed with her play. So.
Yes, I think it's the first time I'm getting to see her play, but I have heard some high praise, so excited to see her in action.
Well, you just saw a couple of seconds ago that she's got some jets, so she gets like 2, 3, or 4 steps going.
Maya Fauché and Brooklyn McCormick are checking in. It's Brooke Reed and Remy Myers to come out.
Well, there's the advantage of having like a little bit of a deeper bench and a big leader because everybody could probably get a chance to see some action in this one for Nova Scotia. Because I said off the top, like in day number 1, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So if you could rest some bodies as Donato kicks it up, you're going to take advantage of it.
I think it's that magic 4th bounce, watching those kicks. When the kicks bounce that 4th time, you can usually tell you're getting into some chaos territory, and a great pickup on the run, taking into touch.
With all the duties, I'm impressed that you're be able to count the bounces. I mean, they're long days, and it's like your body gets a little tired after a while. I'm impressed.
You can almost sort of you feel the pressure growing with each one. You catch on, no bounces, great. 1, fine. 2, 3, oh no. And yeah, there's a well-placed kick, and I mean, even with the turnover in possession, it's still a massive gain in territory from when that last play started.
Kinsey Giachetto comes, breaks that back for Nova Scotia. So Nova Scotia once again on the move. This time they're got a long bit of territory to go. Steal by New Brunswick for the meantime. New Brunswick, they've got 5 here to the sideline, and one of them is Sutton. Sutton stop, follow up Pringle. Tough set of yards there. It's Julia Lucy Marie Murphy. Good sustained pressure here by New Brunswick. Handled on a bounce, but going back the other way with it as they head to. We're down inside the 22. Now a penalty to Nova Scotia, so an opportunity here for Dodge and New Brunswick as she'll bring it up. Inside that 22. This play's blown down again. Into this coming up to 47 minutes gone, so we'll have 13 to go. Nova Scotia was hoping maybe that would have been the water break. It's been halfway through, but looks to be not going to be rewarded here.
More over 10, under 15.
Okay, so 13.
Yeah, one of the things I've also been talking about with the crowd is how crazy the weather's been. We had like hot, humid, hazy, thunderstorms, thunder showers, I guess you could say. And then right now, tonight, I'd really like a hoodie if I could have one right now.
Yeah, starting to think that myself, see if I had one in the car. But yeah, just but otherwise a perfect Windsor night. I think when I said I was a fair weather rugby player, I think just about this would be perfect.
I like to play the cool. It doesn't matter what sport. The cooler that it is, the better I am.
Yeah.
I think that's the ginger in me. Like, I was a baseball, softball player. And I could remember, like, people say, well, how come you were always playing good in the early spring, and then, like, when it got to July and August, your game went downhill? It was like, I was just too hot to play. Literally, that's a true story. I think the players like playing in this. I think this is almost like the perfect conditions, as you said. But Championship Sunday is going back up to 30 again.
Yeah. So everybody enjoy it now while you can. And like a slate of subs here: Tommy McCarthy, Clara Jackson, and Rataj Abdullah are coming in. See if we can play the guessing game. In the first game, Clara meant that Maggie McPhee gave way, and there was a shift in the front row, but may go for a different tactic.
Your blood stop, yeah? Okay.
Same. Off comes Maggie McPhee. Michael Paris
Just the 2 LP. We're good to go when they're off. Yeah.
And Brenton Camo.
And they're really
Now that was just an interesting. There was an injury. It looked like a blow to a head to a New Brunswick player, and I'm sure they've got like the concussion protocol. So an official can take a player off the field. Is that correct?
Yep. The officials have the ability to recognize and remove, certainly. Rugby's of course takes their player welfare and head injury awareness very seriously, and if any assistant referee or any coach first signs no head injury assessment, if you're familiar in the professional ranks, they can remove players and give them a bit more thorough medical examination and see if a professional international player is fit to continue. But here, if a player is removed for a suspected concussion, they're removed.
Sam Menza was checked in. Ball on the turf. Yeah, because it was this. All of a sudden, it's like I think on one of the previous stoppages, like one of the trainers was about ready to go onto the field, and then the next whistle went off, and it's really kind of hard to see when there is blows to the head. If there's always so much something going on somewhere, hard to really watch as an official. But
yeah,
they're definitely watching for it, but not the easiest of tasks.
Correct. Yeah, it's a team effort certainly. It's a healthy kick from Sarah Gunn. She's playing a solid game tonight from the times that I've been able to be here sitting down.
Well, here's the thing: is this has been like for Nova Scotia, like everybody here has contributed. Everybody has pretty well gotten in. It's almost like really hard to say who do you think should get a player of the game afterwards.
Yeah,
this has been a solid effort.
Had some early starts. Yeah, the back three, Kat Culligan and Ailish. It's a great line from Rataj. She's a fantastic player, very versatile, can play forward, back, wherever you need.
And you said about versatility, we've talked about it in the past. New Brunswick penalty backs him up. Abdullah.
It's a strong carry from Emily Dodge. I don't think she's gotten there, but she's recycled well.
And this time they will get it down for another try 5 for Team Nova Scotia.
Sophie Parker with the carry there. Saw the opportunity and went for it. And here's Sam Mensa and Sophie Van Berkel checking in now. We'll see who gives away. Sam gives a bit of Sam and Sophie both with back row, second row cover, so we'll see who's going to get the break here. Forwards it started. Still have Kenzie, Sophie, Quima.
Just about almost everybody here on Team Nova Scotia has seen some action.
Yeah, I think that was with these substitutions. I think that's the team. Sophie Parker and Aquima Akpan getting their claps and high fives.
I don't know. You weren't here when I said that, but I'm sure there'll be some field goal kickers in the CFL would love to have that leg and have that consistency.
Yeah, she's a fantastic, fantastic kicker.
Hey, Nova Scotia has built some great CFL kickers like Brand. Lowther, your Brett Lowther now for the Saskatchewan.
And on the
Justin Blarty from also another Nova Scotia boy there.
Yeah. And on the rugby side, Cooper Coates, Halifax, handles some goal kicking internationally and professionally in New Orleans.
Eilish Renshaw says, hey, I've been doing it with my foot, but hey, I can do it with my feet as well. Over to Culligan.
Oh, my goodness. Oh.
Sutton was just ran over like she was just standing still. As Nova Scotia ran over her, blew by her and knocked her down in the process.
So played ahead of sort of the incidental kick. I don't know if Dylan works for me just through this headset like magic, but I think if we could see that run again, that would be a great use of 5 or 10 seconds. Oh.
Ask and you shall receive.
Here we go. It's all right. While we're seeing this on the screen, we're just getting a bit of a few short passes and some shaping up to kick here.
As we return back to live play.
Unfortunate for the defender to be in a bit of a highlight reel there, just off balance, but Kat Culligan's stiff arm came through.
Under 5 to go. And change. Dodge
sneaks through there.
And puts it down for another try as they hit over the 60 mark here for Nova Scotia. Once again, here it is.
Great awareness from Ailish. No, she wasn't going to finish from there, but a little pop up and big stiff arm. Hannah Kennedy again making a try saver. She's made a few, and Hannah's one of our players at Acadia. She's come all the way from BC.
Now that you say that, that name does come to
and
bring back memories. Yes.
Yeah, comes from BC, and the call went out that it needed a couple of players, and Hannah's a gamer and loved to play rugby.
And there was a lot of times that she was like basically the last person back for Team New Brunswick in this effort by Nova Scotia here.
Foolish. Just foolish, Ailish.
And I thought that Dave Ridgway, who kicked for Saskatchewan back for CFL, was the robo kicker. I don't know anymore. I think that term is going to have to be given here to Renshaw.
And on when a few tries are being scored, that's not an insignificant amount of points she's going to be responsible for at the end of the day.
When you think about it, like some of the conversions that she's got, it's almost sort of like added up to be almost like a lot of try, what ends up to be for like points for try. She's gotten over that mark there.
Yep. Well, yeah, the leading scorers in leagues are always the kickers because, almost anybody can score the tries, and usually the one kicker is responsible. Van Berkel here on the quick tap, and Maya Fauché's there in support. Good strong leg drive. That was a great offload. Getting two hands back on the ball once she's broken the tackle. It's great work from Maya.
Yeah. Maya Fauché. So as I said, everybody's getting in this, pass picked off by New Brunswick. They still, Jared, kicked up by Culligan. 50-50 ball up. Just like that, the quick blows of the whistle and ends this one, but not the way we'd like to see it come to an end. Is an injured New Brunswick player down.
And she's back up to her feet already. So
all right, yeah. Well, that's basically good to see here, but Nova Scotia with a dominant win over New Brunswick here in convincing style. here to wrap up day number 2. So we're going to go down field level here just a couple seconds, and we're going to wrap up day number 2 of coverage. You've been watching the 2025 U19 Senior Atlantic Rugby Championships here on Maritime Athletic Profiles. Back in just a couple minutes. It doesn't matter whether it's football, rugby, anything. I've always been a big fan of kickers, and this is a big one. English Redshaw. We were really impressed. Some of your conversions, not easy, but you had within distance. So I guess without saying anything about what your secret, but your passion and love is basically shown. Basically, tell us, how did you get into being kicking here for Team Nova Scotia?
Started in my U18 season, and I've just kind of carried it through the whole way. I'm glad that my team has faith in me to keep up with this role. It's something that I take a lot of pride in, and I like to put the points on the board for them.
And you also were doing it with some very good runs and passing it off to Kat there, who put it in for a couple of tries there too. So, I mean, not only was you doing it with your foot, but you've had some great rushes as well. Talk about that as well.
Thank you. Well, Kat and I had a bit of a miscommunication yesterday, and she's one of my favorite wingers to play with. So I think we said let's never do that again, and we really connected well today. It made me quite happy.
Yeah, well, Matt Malotson, who's been calling the games with me, told me that you started off as soccer and made the transition into this. So how much was it an easy transition to go from soccer to rugby?
A lot easier. I got to hit the girls.
Pretty simple. You can't get any easier than that. So, yeah, let's get to find out about you. So, you grew up in Cape Breton, is that correct?
That is correct, yep. And made the move to Halifax when I started university and stayed ever since.
So, you attended either SMU or Dalhousie?
I was at St. Mary's.
St. Mary's Universities. And then, basically, as you said, what made you make the transition and the skip? What made you get attracted to the sport, I guess?
I really like the physicality of the sport. I was something that I still got to incorporate my kicking from soccer in. I find there's a lot more adrenaline in this than a soccer game, which is something I was quite drawn to. I got an offer from SMU, and I knew that was a done deal for me, and I was in.
Oh yeah, so it just was sort of one of the things that was meant to be. So, what's next? Of course, want to get into coaching, officiating. Where do you see yourself going, and what you can do for an occupation?
I'm a geochemist, so not quite involved in the world of rugby with my actual career, but I am actually here right now as a coach with our U19 women's program, and I coach the University of King's College Women's 7 program as well. So I'm still quite involved in the sport outside of my actual job.
Yeah, busy. Yeah, all right, well, thank you for joining with us. And, basically what a great effort it was. Tell me your conversions. We were really impressed on there
Thank
with
you.
it. So from long distance, and I'm not sure because I'm going to age myself on this one here, is that Dave Ridgely was known as being the robo kicker in the CFL, but I think you're going to take that term away from him there. So.
Gosh, I hope so.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining
Thank you
us.
very
Best of luck.
much.
Thank you. Ailish Redshaw, who they're doing very well and getting a nice little screams there from her fan base. I'm not sure if she paid them to come here or not. No, just kidding. Basically, that will wrap up day number 2 of coverage here from Windsor here at the 2025 U19 Senior Atlantic Rugby Championships. So for Matt Melanson, as well as the entire people and the hardworking staff behind the cameras and behind the computers of Maritime Athletic Profiles, my name's Dan Hobson. Thank you for tuning in. So long from Windsor.